Oh hey, you made it. Pull up a seat. What can I get you? So you finally made it to the Philippines. You're exhausted, you're jet lagged, and you're probably starving. You found your accommodation, got checked in, got cleaned up, and now you're heading downstairs for a meal and a drink. Or six. You start scrolling down the menu, but some of the items you're not familiar with. This is the fun of traveling, the unknown. Welcome to the Broski Bar. Throughout this segment of the channel, it's exactly what we're going to be talking about. The brews of the Philippines. What's available, what's popular, and what to expect. So pull up a seat and I'll pour you a cold one. I thought it only fitting to keep things kind of organized throughout this segment that we should start with the most popular drinks and then slowly, over time, work our way down through the lesser knowns and then at some point end up somewhere around the craft brew, craft beer area. Now, craft breweries are very quickly gaining popularity here in the Philippines, and it just so happens that there are at least two of such breweries on this island. So look forward to that at some point in time in the future. Who knows, maybe we can meet up and they'll give us a tour and we can do some sampling and just have a good time. We'll see what happens. Anyway, without further ado, tonight's guests. You know, we hopped all around this country. 5, 6, 7 different islands. And it doesn't matter where you go, bar, restaurant, resort, grocery store, if you're looking for something cold to drink, you're going to run into these guys sooner rather than later. They are hands down the most popular beers in the Philippines. Introducing the big dogs, the heavy hitters. I give you the most popular beers in the Philippines. Beer accounts for roughly 70% of all alcohol sales in this country. These three beers are all produced by the San Miguel Brewery / the San Miguel Corporation. Now, as I understand it, the San Miguel Brewery is responsible for roughly 95% of all alcohol produced here in the Philippines. So I think it's safe to say, overwhelmingly, that these are the people's choice. Now, first up, we have our San Miguel Light, followed secondly by a San Miguel Pale Pilsen, and last but not least, we have the infamous Red Horse Extra Strong Beer. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of these back on ice, and then we can go ahead and get started with some tastings. Anyway, before we dive right into the tasting, there's a couple little things that you may find interesting. Whenever you are served a beer upon arriving in the Philippines, there's a couple things you may notice that'll be done a little differently maybe. First of all, when you're given your beer, you'll probably notice that there will be a napkin wrapped around the top of your bottle. I'm not cool enough to wrap it like they do, or I would show you. But then secondly, you will most likely be given a glass with ice. This is of course different to how you would find it 99% of the time, at least where I'm from in the US. But that's how it's done here, for a couple of reasons. But I don't know if you can see this, but here around the top of the bottle, there's rust from the bottle cap. And I don't know the exact reason for it, but I assume it has something to do with being shipped by sea from the main island, so maybe the salt in the air rust the caps, I don't know. The rust won't hurt you, but it doesn't exactly taste good. So, should you decide to drink from the bottle, the napkin is to clean the top of your bottle, or if you would rather, the glass is to, of course, pour your beer so you don't have to drink out of the bottle. Cool little thing that I've noticed, and it's pretty widespread. You'll see it almost everywhere. Anyway, on with the tasting. Okay, first up we have our San Miguel Light, or San Mig Light as many people refer to it. This is a light beer, as both the name and the color would suggest. This is a beer that you can drink all day long. You get here, you're probably going to make a lot of friends. You're going to be hanging out on the beach, probably drinking all day long. This is a beer you can drink a lot of, and you don't have to worry about them filling you up a lot. It's a light beer. Me personally, I would compare this something similar to like a Bud Light or something. It's a light beer. Let's go ahead and give it a taste, I guess. Nice light color. Smell. Surprisingly, it doesn't have a strong like beer smell. Maybe very light hints of grain. It's very light. Mostly just a light alcohol smell. A beer smell. I'm not getting any overpowering scents jumping out at me. Probably using this word entirely too much, but has a nice, light, refreshing flavor to it. I would say that's very much like a Bud Light. So if you are looking for something that is good with hot weather, or you care to drink all day long at the beach, which is probably going to happen if you come here, this is a very good choice. And at somewhere between 40 and 70 pesos a beer, depending on where you go, they're inexpensive. They're not going to break the bank. So this is a fantastic choice, and like I said, you can find these everywhere. If you visit the country, you're definitely going to come across these. Probably almost every place you go. And a lot of times they also offer these in they call it a bucket of beer. It's like 5 or 6 beers for a price or whatever. They'll bring it to your table and you just sit there and drink out of the bucket. Pretty good option. Nice light flavor. Good for the hot weather. I'd recommend it. Moving on. Next up, we have the San Miguel Pale Pilsen. Now this is actually the original beer of San Miguel Brewery. And unless I'm mistaken, this is actually the single most popular beer in this country. I've not drank this a lot. I've had it several times. But this is also a light beer. It is also 5%. So again, you could drink this all day long if you wanted to. But let's give it a try. Expertly brewed since 1890. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is the original recipe from the brewery. So it's over 100 years old. Again, that nice light color. It does have a different smell. Can't put my finger on the smell though. That does have a stronger grain smell to it, as I mentioned on the first beer. That has a lot more flavor than the San Miguel Light. Now I can't say as to which grain it would be that I'm tasting, but this has a significantly stronger flavor than the San Miguel Light. So if you're looking for a light beer, as in low alcohol and light in your stomach when you drink it, but you require or like a little more flavor, I would definitely go with this versus the San Miguel Light. You still get the light alcohol, 5%, but you get a lot more flavor. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Me personally, I would check this out. I prefer this over the San Miguel Light. But of course, wherever you go, they'll probably have both of them, so you can choose. Try both of them, see what you think. Anyway, it gets my vote. Give it a shot. Also, somewhere between the 40 to 70 peso range. And also, most of the places that I've been, these are also available in the buckets as well. So they're not going to break the bank. You can still have a good time. Give them a try. It's worth a shot. Moving on. Last but certainly not least is this dude, Red Horse. Comment down below if you've ever heard of or tried Red Horse prior to watching this video. I'd love to hear your stories. I actually heard of Red Horse quite a long time ago, long before I ever came to this part of the world. I used to read a lot of travel forums and travel blogs, things like that. I'd come across these stories, guys talking about their adventures from faraway places, like the Philippines. But they'd tell these stories about this really strong, cheap beer, and they go on to talk about their wild, drunken nights, and oh, it's so strong because it's really mixed with gin, and all kinds of crazy things like that. While I don't believe the gin rumor to be true, I do believe the wild and crazy night stories, because I've seen firsthand the trail of fire this dude can leave behind. So if you are a light drinker, or you've never tried Red Horse, you may want to tread lightly, because the horse can kick pretty hard if you're not careful, and then you're going to end up with your own Red Horse stories. Anyway, let's give this dude a try. For those of you that fall into that category of light drinker or have never tried Red Horse before, stick around to the end of the video and I'll give you a couple tasty mixing tips to kind of cut down on that alcohol and make it a little more drinkable for you. San Miguel Brewery describes Red Horse like this: a strong, high alcohol beer. It is deeply hued lager with a distinctive Swedish taste balanced by a smooth bitterness for the man with real strength inside and out. Well, I don't know about all that, but I guess it sounds pretty good. Of course, first thing we noticed about Red Horse would be its color. I guess this is that deeply hued lager that they were talking about. Similar, of course, to the first two. I would say it falls somewhere between the light and the Pilsen as far as color goes. Nice light carbonation, not much head to it. Foam. Looks appetizing enough. Well, there's your first big difference. There's a significantly stronger alcohol smell to it versus the first two. Yeah. No other single scents really jump out at me though, other than just the alcohol finish. Very light kind of grainy smell, if you will. The smells very similar to either of the first two, aside from the extra strong alcohol finish at the end. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's go ahead and give it a taste, I guess. Yeah, that would be the big difference, is the additional alcohol. At somewhere between 6.9 and 8% alcohol, depending on where in the world it's being sold. I guess it varies by place to place. This, I guess, is 6.9%. So the bottle says. The website says 8. So I guess it just depends on where you are exactly. But yeah, that is the main flavor also. be the additional alcohol. Yeah, quite a strong alcohol flavor. This almost falls into a separate category from the first two because I think it's technically like a malt alcohol, which, as I understand it, is pretty much like any normal beer, but then they add additional like malted grains simply to boost the alcohol, which explains just the stronger alcohol flavor. Overall, though, I mean, it's not bad. Pretty smooth. Not a bad beer. Yeah, it's not bad at all. It gets my vote. If I had to rate these three beers, for me, I would actually say Red Horse is my favorite. This has actually been my go-to, if you will, beer for quite some time. Simply from an economic standpoint, it's almost the same price as the first two. It falls into that 40 to 70 peso range. So it's the exact same price as the first two, but it just has that higher alcohol content, so you get your best bang for the buck. Secondly, I would say the Pilsen goes in second place, and that is based just purely on flavor. It has considerably more flavor than the light. The light is, of course, a light beer. There's very, very light flavor. But yeah, all good beers, all good options. Of course, you will have to make the final determination what works for you. But again, that's the fun of traveling, is getting to experiment and try those new things that you've never tried before. If you've tried any of these beers, comment down below. Let me know. I want to hear your stories, your experiences. Which is your favorite? Do you love them? Do you hate them? What's your opinions? Love to know. But yeah, I would say for me, Red Horse takes the day, followed by the Pilsen, and then lastly the San Miguel Light. But they're all very drinkable beers, and like I said, they can be found pretty much everywhere, and they're inexpensive. They all fall into the 40 to 70 peso range. So we'll give them a try. Yeah, let me know what you think. But as promised, before we say goodbye this evening, I told you I would give you a couple mixing tips to help cut down on the alcohol if you fall into that light drinker category. The first one is very, very simple. This is actually how my girlfriend drinks it, and that is simply to cut it with Sprite. You've probably heard of this before or done it yourself, but it's an extra tasty added element. Whatever ratio you feel you need to mix it at, 50-50 isn't bad. It makes it kind of like a light punch, but essentially that would cut the alcohol in half, so you would be below even the light beers on alcohol level. But yeah, it definitely adds a sweetness and a little extra carbonation. It's not a bad option. Give it a try. Secondly, this is how I do it, or did it, for quite some time. This is a great option if you're going to the beach or whatever. But whenever I came here, I brought with me my Nalgene water bottle. I've had this thing forever, but it is, as you may imagine, a great mixing vessel. Well, anyway, I will bring this with me to the beach whenever. Throw some ice in there. Cut it at, I don't know, 50 to 75% Red Horse with a little bit of Sprite, and then this can be found everywhere. All the little roadside stores, almost all of them will have it. But Tang, the little powdered juice drink, they have, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 different flavors. My favorite is pineapple, but mix a little of that in there, and then you have an instant punch. This is something that is tasty enough. You could very easily mix it in like a big pail or something. If you have a bunch of friends at the beach and have just a huge a bucket of punch. Fantastic party mixer right there, and super cheap. This is like 20 pesos for one of these, and you could make, I don't know, cutting it like that, you could make quite a few of these with one of these. It costs almost nothing additional, and it was a tasty little mix. Great to cut that hot weather and cut down on the alcohol, so you could sip on it all day long, swimming, playing around, whatever. But that is all I have for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it at least somewhat insightful. If you did, comment down below, let me know what you think about it. I'd love to hear your opinions on these drinks. You ever tried them before? You plan on trying them? Whatever. But I thank you guys for watching. If you liked that video, please hit that like button. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and share us with your friends so you can travel along on our future adventures. And should you have any questions or comments, please put those down below. And I will see you guys next time.